Namaste. So tonight I'm going to read Book 7, Chapter 39, The Worship of the World Mother. Om Vakratuna Mahakaya Suyakoti Sam. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Saksha. Hari Om Tat Sat. The Himalayas said, O Devi, O Maheshwari, O thou, the ocean of mercy, O world mother, now describe in detail how thy worship is conducted, the rules and ceremonies thereof. The Devi said, O king of mountains, I now describe to you the rites and ceremonies and the methods of my worship that are pleasing to me. Hear it attentively with faith. My worship is of two kinds, external and internal. The external worship is again twofold. One is Vedic and the other is Tantric. The Vedic worship is also of two kinds according to the differences in my forms. Those who are initiated in the Vedic mantrams worship according to the Vedic rites and ceremonies, and those who are initiated in the Tantric mantram worship according to the Tantric rites. That stupid man is entirely ruined and goes to hell, who, knowing the secrets of worship, act contrary to them. First, I will describe to you the Vedic worship. Here, the highest form of mine that you saw before, with innumerable heads, innumerable eyes, innumerable feet, and the illumina of the intelligences of all the jivas, endowed with all powers. Higher than the highest, very grand. Worship that, bow down to that, and meditate on that. O Nagendra. This is the first form of worship that I describe to you. With your senses controlled, peaceful, with a well-concentrated mind, void of egoism and vanity, and devoted to that, perform sacrifices to that. Take refuge of that. See that within the temple of your mind. And always recite her name and meditate on that. Take hold of me and my ideas with one pointed loving devotion, and please me with the performance of sacrifices, austerities, and gifts. By my grace, you will no doubt be able to get the final liberation. Whoever is entirely attached to me, thinking me as the highest, is the foremost amongst the bhaktas. I promise that I will certainly deliver him from this ocean of the world. O king of mountains, meditation with karma and jnana with bhakti will lead one to me. Only the work alone will fail to get one to me. O Himavan, from dharma arises bhakti, and from bhakti arises the highest jnana. What are said in the Shruti and Smriti Sastras, the Maharishis take that as the dharma. And what are written in other Sastras, they take them to be Dharmabhasa, the shadow or reflection of Dharma. Out of my omniscient and omnipotent nature, the Vedas have come. Owing to the want of ignorance in me, the Vedas can never be invalidated. The Smritis are formed out of the meaning of the Vedas, so the Smriti and Puranas formed by Manu and the other rishis are authoritative. In some places, it is hinted that there other sastras than the Vedas, taking the Tantras indirectly into account, although the matters relating to the dharmas are mentioned therein. But as they are apparently contrary to the Shrutis, the Tantras are not accepted by the Vedic Pandits. The other sastras, makers and marked with their ignorance, so their sayings cannot be authoritative. Therefore, he must resort entirely to the Vedas, who want the final liberation. As the king's order is never disobeyed amongst his subjects, so the Shruti, the command of mind, the Lord of all, can never be abandoned by men. To preserve my commandments, I have created the Brahmana and the Kshatriya caste. My secrets are all embodied in the Shrutis. For that reason, the words of the Shrutis are no doubt to be known and observed by the sages. O mountain, when the Dharma, righteousness, declines and the Adharma, unrighteousness, reigns supreme, I then manifest myself in the world as Sakambari, Rama, Krishna and others. Therefore, the Devas, the preservers of the Vedas and the Dechas, the destroyers of the Vedas are classified. Whoever does not practice according to the Vedas, I have created many hells for their lessons. When the sinners hear of those hells, they get extremely terrified. The king should banish those stupid persons from his kingdom, and the Brahmins should not talk with them, nor take them in their own lines, nor when partaking of food. Those who forsake the Vedic Dharma and go for shelter to another Dharma, the Shastras that are extant as contrary to the Shrutis and Smritis are all Tamasa Shastras. Mahadeva has framed these Vama, Kapalak, Kaulaks, Bhairava and such like Shastras for fascinating the people, else he has no object in framing them. Those Brahmins that were burnt up by the curses of Daksha, Sukra, Darichi, and were banished from the path of the Vedas, it is for delivering them step by step that Mahadeva has framed the 5 Agamas, Shaiva, Vaisnava, Saura, Sata, and Ganapatiya Shastras. In those Tantra Shastras, there are some passages in conformity with the Vedas, and there are other passages contradictory to the Vedas. If the Vedic persons resort to passages in conformity with the Veda, then they cannot arise any fault in them. The Brahmins are not adhikaris to those tantric texts that are contradictory to the Vedas. Those persons that have no claim to the Vedas can be adhikaris to these later texts. Therefore, the Vedic Brahmanas should resort to the Vedas with all the care possible and make the Parabrahma of the nature of Jnana manifest within them. The sannyasis, vanaprasthas, householders and brahmacharis should give up all the desires and take refuge in me, free from egoism and vanity, kind to all creatures, their hearts wholly given to me, and engage in speaking out my places with enrapt devotion. They always worship my Virat, cosmic form, immersed in the yoga called Asvarya Yoga, cosmic yoga dealing with the glorious prosperity of God. Illumine the understanding with the sun of my consciousness, and I destroy the darkness of ignorance of those persons that are always engaged in practicing yoga with me. There is no doubt in this. O Nagendra, thus I have described in brief the methods and practices of the Vedic puja. Now I will tell you the tantriki puja here attentively. On an image or clean plot of ground, or on the sun or the moon, in water, in Vanalinga, in Yatra, or on a cloth, or in the lotus of heart. One is to meditate and worship the blissful, higher than the highest, the Devi, who creates this universe with the 3 guna sattva, raja and tama, who is filled with the juice of mercy, who is blooming in youth, whose color is red like the rising sun, whose beauty overtops to the full, whose all the limbs are exquisitely beautiful, who is the sentiment of love incarnate, who feels very much for the mental pain of her bhaktas, on who, being pleased, manifests herself before the bhaktas, on whose forehead the segment of the moon shines incessantly, and whose 4 hands hold goad, noose, and the signs of fearlessness, and to grant boons. Until one is entitled to the internal worship, one should worship the external. Never he is to abandon it. Worship is internal when one's heart gets diluted in Parabrahma, of the nature of the universal consciousness. O mountain, know my consciousness, Samvit, to be my highest nature without any limitations. Therefore, it is highly incumbent to attach one's hearts free from another adjuncts constantly to this samvit. And what is more than this samvit is this elusive world full of Maya. So to get rid of this world, one is to constantly meditate on me, the witness of all, the self of all, with a heart full of devotion and free from any sankalpas or desires. O best of mountains, now I will describe to you in detail the external form of worship. Hear attentively. Here ends the 39th chapter of the 7th book on the worship of the World Mother in Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Vedvyasa. Om Jayanti Mangalakali Padrakali Padrakshma Shivdali Swasma. Om Tuya Mata Chapita Tuya Tuya Mandusha Chasakapa.